My dad called my name across the yard, loud enough that the neighbors turned around, loud enough that conversations stopped. He was holding barbecue tongs and grinning like he had been waiting all evening to say it. Reyna, you are old enough to pay rent or find somewhere else to live. This is not a charity. Carol laughed first, then Marco raised his beer. I was holding a foil tray of food I had brought to his cookout. My grip bent the edge of it flat. I set it down on the picnic table. I did not say anything yet, because I already knew how this was going to end. She spent 6 years paying bills that were never hers. 6 years of half her paycheck going somewhere she was never thanked for. And the one time she stopped, they called her cruel. If you have ever given everything to someone and watched them treat it like nothing, you already know how this feels. Subscribe. This story has one of the most satisfying endings I have told. I do not want you to miss it. It was late August in Tucson, the kind of heat that does not leave after dark. There had been a monsoon storm that afternoon. The air after those storms smells like wet concrete and something sharp, like the desert exhaled. My name is Reyna. I run a ceramic tile installation business. Small operation, just me and 2 part-time guys I trust. I had been living in my dad Ray's house since I was 19. Not because I had no options, because he asked me to stay. His second wife, Carol, moved in when I was 20. My half-brother, Marco, came with her. The house got tighter, the expenses got higher, but Ray kept telling me I was helping hold things together. So I stayed, and I kept helping. Every morning before I left for a job site, I watered a small cactus on my kitchen windowsill. It had been dead for months. I just had not thrown it out yet. What nobody at that cookout knew was this. For 6 years, I had been paying the electric bill on that house, $340 a month on average. The gas bill, the internet, groceries twice a month, $200 each time. I never asked to be put on the accounts. Ray just handed me the login one day and said he was short that month. That was year 1. By year 3, it was not a conversation anymore. It was just the arrangement. Nobody named it. Nobody thanked me. It just became the water in the air that house breathed. What nobody in that room knew was that 2 weeks before that cookout, I had signed the paperwork on a small adobe house across town. The deed was already in my name. The rent comment was not the first time. 8 months before the cookout, my purse went missing inside that house. It came back 2 days later. I checked everything. My cards were there, my ID was there. I thought nothing was taken. I was wrong about that. A year before the purse, Ray had borrowed my truck for a weekend move. He brought it back with a cracked side mirror and 400 fewer miles of gas. He never mentioned it. When I brought it up a week later, he said I was being petty about a mirror. Then there was Carol. Carol had a way of framing things, so she was never actually saying anything. I just think some people have it easier than they realize, she said once at dinner. She was looking at me when she said it. And Marco. Marco was 23 and had not paid a single bill in that house his entire life. Nobody said a word about that. But my name got called across the yard in front of the neighbors. Ray waved the tongs at me. You have no savings, Reyna. You have nowhere to go. He said it like he knew for a fact. Carol nodded. Marco drank his beer. I looked at my dad. My jaw stayed tight. And I said, fine. Just that word. He laughed. I need to pause here. Has anyone ever treated your work like it was invisible? Like what you built did not count because it did not look the way they expected? Tell me in the comments. I did not pack that night. I went home and I sat on my bed and I stared at the wall for a while. I thought about my dad's face from when I was small, before Carol, before Marco, before any of this. I wondered if leaving would make things worse between us. I sat with that for a long time, and I did not have a good answer. Then I opened my laptop. I started with the electric account, removed my name, submitted the change. Confirmation email. Gas account, same process. Internet, water, car insurance that had been running through my policy for 2 years without anyone asking. Each one went through clean. I printed the confirmation for every single one. By midnight, my printer had run through half a ream of paper. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I loaded my truck before 7 a.m. Tools first, then the boxes. I drove to the adobe house on the other side of Tucson. The walls smelled like fresh paint. I put the deed on the kitchen counter. Then I sent one message to my dad. I moved out. The bills are yours now. I put the phone down. 40 minutes later, the group chat started. Wi-Fi is out. The gas says account not found. What did you do, Reyna? This is not funny. I sent one reply to all of them. I moved out. Everything is in your names now. Please do not come over without calling. They came over without calling. I heard tires on my gravel driveway. Ray parked crooked. He always parks crooked when he is upset. Carol got out wearing her house slippers. She had not even changed her shoes. Marco stayed in the truck. Ray walked up and told me to put the accounts back on for a week while they figured things out. I told him no. He said I was being dramatic. I said I was being done. Carol stepped forward and called me selfish. I looked at her. You laughed at me in front of the whole neighborhood, I said. Do not talk to me about selfish. Ray opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He turned around and walked back to the truck. Marco would not look at me. Carol said something under her breath as she turned. I could not quite make it out. Nobody said goodbye. Nobody walked away clean. That night, a bank alert came through on my phone. Suspicious login attempt on my account. I opened it. Then I found something else. A credit card in my name, registered to an address that was not mine, not any address I had ever lived at. I sat with it for a moment. My purse, 8 months ago, 2 days missing, Marco. I printed everything, every statement, every failed login, every email trail I could find. I got a manila folder from my desk drawer. I wrote one word on the outside in thick black marker. Documentation. My hands did not shake once. 3 days later, a friend sent me a screenshot of a Facebook post from Carol. Some people forget where they came from the second things get easy for them. Praying for grace tonight. No name, no tag. Just enough detail that anyone who knew our family would understand. I saved the screenshot and added it to the folder. Then a letter arrived. Forwarded to my new address because I was still listed as emergency contact on Ray's house. I opened it. 2 mortgage payments missed. Auction date scheduled in 28 days. I read it twice. I set it on the counter next to my coffee mug. Sunday afternoon, they all came back. All 3 of them on my porch. Ray's voice was quieter this time. He said they could not lose the house. He said I had to help. Carol stood with her arms crossed. Marco was there too. He looked like he wanted to be somewhere else. I went inside. I came back out with the folder. I held the foreclosure letter up so all 3 of them could read it. This is what 6 years of someone else carrying you looks like when they stop. I let it go. It landed on the porch boards between us. I went back inside. I did not look through the blinds this time. That evening, I posted one sentence. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop carrying someone who never once offered to help you up. No names, no explanation. I put my phone face down on the counter. The house was quiet. Not the quiet of holding your breath, the other kind. The kind that is just yours. Here is the thing nobody tells you. The people who take the most from you are usually the most surprised when you stop giving. They did not see a person carrying them. They saw furniture, and furniture does not leave until it does. Tell me something. If this had been you, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have given them one more chance? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story right now, send it to them. They will know why. If this story gave you that feeling, that specific satisfaction of watching the truth finally land, subscribe, because I have more. Stories about people who were written off and counted out, who then made sure that was the last mistake anyone made. See you in the next one.